The baton on about from the insurance side. What are the things that you see, both from what you can provide and then talking? I'm assuming you've talked with a number of us over the years, looking at what's coming and what our options are for the next year. So, some thoughts on that?
It was kind of weird when I got to be last. But I also was with John. I didn't know I was sitting up here until I walked in. Everything has to have somebody who's the enemy. The Cold War was the Soviet Union, or the Axis of evil, or whoever. And when they found out that they made too many people mad by saying the healthcare industry, they had to shorten it to the health insurance industry. I'd have somebody to blame, and I think the health insurance industry deserves any blame that they get, along with everybody else. And so I didn't know whether I should respond to our speaker's comments first, or John Clinton's. I'll start with his, because you can just remember. Pre-existing clauses protect a group of people, not just an insurance company. Pre-existing clause for a group protects that group, but somebody who says, just found out mama is pregnant, I'm going to go get a job where I have coverage. Or I just found out my child is really sick, I'm going to go get a job at that business that has coverage, and they'll be covered. Then everybody in that group, especially small groups, and in Benton or in Iowa, most of our groups are smaller groups, they suddenly take on that responsibility. So if somebody comes in with a maternity claim, it's going to be $8,000-$10,000, that affects the entire small group on their premiums for that next year, because premiums are based on three things: trend, what is happening, claims, what claims go against that group, and then the demographics. So somebody says, I'm going to get a job because I'm going to get health insurance. They go get the job, big claim comes in, everybody in that group suffers because that claims experience for that group goes up. Because the insurance company, yeah, they're in it for a profit. They're not a philanthropy. Years ago, they used to be more of a philanthropy, but then again, so did the Sisters of Mercy in those hospitals. So they all had, things have changed. They're all in it for what's the bottom line for us. So the pre-existing clause protects people as well as keeps people out of having that type of coverage. Okay, so much for pre-existing condition. Drugs. 15 years ago, drugs were 8% of total healthcare costs. Now they're 28% of healthcare costs. That's on average. What big change came about in the last 15 years? Well, in '96, the FCC said drug companies can advertise. Watch TV. Where do you see it? On the news. It's either hospitals advertising or drug companies advertising. Advertising used to be about 2-3% of their total cost, and research was about 22%. Those things flipped. So a lot of the cost of drugs is in the fact that they're advertising, and they're advertising brand name. I mean, some guy who used to be a heart doctor says, I wouldn't trust my heart to a generic. But he got paid to say that. Right, so part of that is one of the things I will say on a local level and a personal level for our family. The local pharmacists are helping the people. You drive through, be it Walgreens or Hy-Vee, what are you going to get? They ship it out, they take your check, and then they send you the drug. Here, at least you can ask somebody and say, what do you think of this? What should I do? The drug program, Part D, which for those who were over 65 when they first took it, they think it's a good deal. For those who are turning 65, they think it's a rotten deal because their group insurance is paying most of the cost. But the thing I've seen in the last 4 or 5 years, seniors are much more astute on their drug costs than they ever were. And they're going, I wonder if I should find out what generic will work. I wonder if I should find out, can I get a 20 milligram for a 10 milligram and cut them in half? And the local pharmacists are doing that for people. Can I ask somebody, why is my doctor, whatever he happens to be, whatever field, specialist, what is he recommending? And could he have recommended, he or she recommended a generic, which would cost me $8 instead of $60? And the local pharmacists, I feel, are really helping the people in this area by giving them information on what does the drug do. And from personal experience, John has been very, very helpful to me, and my family on what I need, and I commend him for it. But part of that is, so the cost of drugs has gone up tremendously, which has caused healthcare then to go up. The other thing is, on that group with trend claims that our demographics were getting older. So everybody understands that. Trend right now is 12%. Trend for the first quarter of next year, I already found out it's going to be 15. I found that trend is usually follows what they are as far as the gross national product, GNP. If healthcare is the fourth most costly thing that we have in our country, and it's 14%. I've always said, I think rate increases are going to be 14%. It's going to be what the GNP is. And if we look at the GNP, I always like to tell people this. Number one is transportation. Number two is housing. Number four is healthcare. And number five is food. And food used to be number one. 75 years ago, food was number one. Now it's dead. Food costs are held down. I didn't say number three, did I? Number three is entertainment. Eating out, going to movies, boating, those types of things. So entertainment's number three in our GNP. So that takes us to a problem that we have with the second largest group that's uninsured. The largest group is, and the only thing that really upsets me was when they tell us that 50 million Americans don't have health insurance. That is wrong. 50 million people who live in America don't have health insurance. There's about 14 million that aren't Americans. Second largest group is the 22 to 32-year-olds. They would rather buy a boat or a motorcycle or a different car than pay for health care. When the older generation was looking at their responsibilities, not their rights, but their responsibilities about health care, they paid for it. They took care of it. And so that causes a little bit of a problem. So when we look at that, I think that who are we covering, and what are we going to have? Insurance companies, I don't know, about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, Blue Cross went to the state insurance commissioner and said, here's what we want to do. 85%. 85% of all the money they take in goes to claims. The other 15% goes to processing the claims, administration, and yeah, paying me. Okay, but 85% then goes. Is the government going to do a better job of administering? I think the healthcare system is